Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about these tools that you see here. And these are rod building tools, and these are actually very useful when it comes down to rod building. So the first one we're going to look at here, this is what they call a cork reamer. This is used to ream out the cork so you can make kind of a taper in the cork so when you put it on the rod, you can seat it real well. Another thing is here, and this you can use this as the same thing. This is called a rat tail file. So that's what they use this for. The same thing as the cork reamer. This is what they call a Chinese marker. So what I use these for is when I mark where the guides go and where the thread ends on the guides. When you wrap them, I use this to mark them so I can know where I'm going. This here, I don't use this a lot to paint, but I do use this a lot whenever I make my trim bands. So I wrap a few times over it and then pull it through on each side, and that's your trim band. So it kind of acts as like a hose to it. So it actually makes a good tool for that. Either that, or you can also use a straw or something like that too. That'll also work. This is a tool. Why do you, well, now you might ask why do you use a lighter? Now sometimes in rods you might get a little bit of fraying when you wrap them. This is good whenever, this is good whenever you can light a flame and go underneath it and kind of just light it to get rid of whatever's in there on that fray, you know. This here is good for measuring out where the guides go. So I know this is not as long as what I want it to be, but what I do is I take, say, like 4 inches from the tip top to the first guide, mark that, then 9 inches like so from the guide down. That's the second guide. And if it doesn't reach all the way, I sometimes go at the very end of 12 inches and flip it over and then measure again. Now, I don't recommend doing it this way unless you're a little more experienced, but that will work. These here and this one too, these are good for these are really good paint brushes for rod building too. I use these a lot whenever I put my epoxy on to seal off the thread. So that's what I use for this. Now this thing, it's not all there, but I have the other pieces in there. But what this is basically is a rod wrapping deal. So what this is it's a rod wrapper, but it's a hand wrapper. So it's not a power wrapper. But I do wrap my rods by hand, so this is a good tool to use whenever you're wrapping your rods on the, wrapping them when you get your hook keeper and your guides on. So that's what that is. This here is what they call a rod turner, or also known as a rod dryer. This is good whenever you're drying your rod out, for not drying it out, but it turns it at the same time that epoxy finishes on the thread. And what that does is it actually keeps it even, so you don't get this big old lumps. And yeah, this actually helps a lot, so you don't get these lumps or any like it globs in one spot kind of thing. So that's what that's for. But yeah, that's basically most of my fly tying tools. Thanks, guys.